Hello, I'm Olly, and today we're going to go behind the headlines to look at Marine Le Pen and what her conviction means for the future of French politics. On Monday, Marine Le Pen, the leader of the French far-right party, the Rassemblement National, was found guilty of embezzling 4.4 million euros of public funds from the EU, in the probable conclusion to what has been called the fictitious assistance scandal. Le Pen will join Sarkozy in donning the hot new fashion item among French right-wing politicians, the electronic ankle tag. She has been sentenced to 4 years in prison, 2 suspended, 2 under house arrest. The judgment found that Le Pen sat at the heart of a carefully organised system of embezzlement of EU parliamentary funds by running a fake jobs racket in which permanent members of party staff were declared EU parliamentary assistants and had their salaries paid by the EU. Several other high-ranking members of the RN were also found guilty of embezzlement as part of this system, such as MP Julien Audoul, Perpignan Mayor and RN Vice President Louis Alliot, the MEP Nicolas Bay, who now sits alongside Identité et Liberté, a micro-party founded by Marion Maréchal Le Pen, Marine's niece. The system was relatively simple. MEPs for the Front National, the party's old name, would have one assistant dedicated to their parliamentary work, and then the rest of their staff budget would go to the party. But it will have enormously complicated consequences for Le Pen and the French far right. Part of the sentence includes a 5-year ban on running for office, under what the French call proximate execution. This means that the penalty applies even through the appeals process, and will likely scupper her chances of running in the 2027 presidential election, which polling suggests she has a good chance of winning. Le Pen protests her innocence to this day, claiming, "I am innocent, we are all innocent." But the evidence against her is stark. Ex-FN MP Ferdinand Rachenel, for example, stated that 2 of his assistants never actually worked for him. They were in fact Jean-Marie Le Pen's private secretary and bodyguard. The judgment also describes a meeting in 2014 in which Marine Le Pen instructed her MPs to hand power of attorney over to the lawyer Charles Van Hout, who would allocate their staff spend between parliamentary work and work for the party. This judgment has been described as lawfare by both friends and enemies of Le Pen. The global far right, from Trump and Vance to Bolsonaro and Orban, have come out in support of her, but this claim does not really stack up. The left-wing La France Insoumise party came out against the principle of the penalty applying throughout the appeals process. But even its leader, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who has repeatedly spoken out against lawfare as a phenomenon, accepted the substance of the judgment. The areas in which justice has been politicised against the opponents of the government, such as against Gilets jaunes protesters, or in favour of Bernard Arnault, one of the world's richest men and close ally of Macron, have very little bearing upon the far right, who have often been the cheerleaders for this warping of the system against dissent. Indeed, Gérald Darmanin, the hard-right justice minister who once described Marine Le Pen as too soft in a debate on immigration, intervened, telling the courts that he hoped her appeal could be processed as soon as possible. Le Pen and her allies have proceeded to attack the judges and the judicial system for imposing a penalty that she once argued should be made mandatory for politicians found guilty of her exact crime. The question now is, how will this affect the far right? Some people have suggested that this will turbocharge the Rassemblement National, with Le Pen martyred for their cause. Others have said that this dooms the party to irrelevance. In reality, it's too soon to tell. But the far-right vote is not a vote for Marine Le Pen. It's a vote against immigration and the high cost of living, which RN voters often link when you speak to them. Marine Le Pen may not be able to run in 2027, but don't expect this to be the last you hear of the French far-right.